first down. They hand off to Marlon Mack. Huge hole, 50-yard line. He's at the 40, still going near sideline. He's at the 10. He's at the 5, and he will score. Touchdown, Marlon Mack. Touchdown, INDY. And again, it's picked up. It's Darius Leonard. Leonard with his second INT, and he's streaking down the near sideline. He's at the 40. He's at the 30. He's at the 20. He's going to go. A pick six for the Maniac.
Horseshoe is back, baby. The horseshoe is back.
What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to the Bring the Juice Colts podcast. Today I want to give my 5 keys to an Indianapolis Colts victory. The Colts kick off down in Jacksonville to open their season. The Colts have notoriously struggled down in Jacksonville. They haven't won down there since 2014. So Jacksonville's a little bit depleted this year, we feel like. They're the least talented they've been in years. So I want to give my 5 keys to victory for the Indianapolis Colts to start out 1-0, break the curse of that Jacksonville tradition of losing, and then also breaking the curse of winning their opening game. I mean, since 2013, they haven't won an opening game, and that was against the Raiders and against Terrell Pryor, if that tells you anything about how the Colts have notoriously struggled to start the season and also just down in Jacksonville. It's kind of a double whammy. So in order for the Colts to get both those monkeys off the back, here's what I feel like they need to do in order to secure a victory. Number 5 for me is running the football. We know how much the Colts want to run the football. We know how much of an emphasis they put on it last year. They were top 10 last year. They want to be top 5 this year. And Jacksonville notoriously has struggled against the run. Even last year, you know, with a more talented squad, I would argue, they were at the bottom of the league. They were 28th in the league in rushing yards per game allowed. They allowed a little over 139 yards per game. We feel like the Colts are going to get, at least from an efficiency standpoint, better with the addition of Jonathan Taylor. And we even saw, you know, Jacksonville last year when the Colts played against them, they ran the ball pretty much at will. In that first game, Jonathan Williams, the number 4 running back, he ran for over 100 yards. And then in the last game down in Jacksonville, Marlon Mack ran for about 80 yards. So you think of that combination of Jacksonville not really being great against the run to begin with, even last year, and then also losing some talent this year in the offseason, especially on that defensive line. I think potentially the Colts could run for 150 to 200 yards. I really think if they commit to running the ball, they really could. So number 4 for me really has got to be being able to beat these defensive backs for Jacksonville. Now, these defensive backs, really the secondary has gone through a major overhaul the last few seasons. Obviously, you know, losing A.J. Boye and Jalen Ramsey first off the last couple of years, trading Ronnie Harrison to the Browns. He was their safety, so now they have another guy coming in with little experience. So overall, this Jacksonville secondary is pretty susceptible right now and pretty young and pretty inexperienced. I mean, the Jaguars drafted a defensive back, C.J. Henderson, in the first round this year. But we even saw last year with Rocky Ya-Sin. As good as Rocky Ya-Sin we feel like is going to be, it's kind of tradition, if you will, for rookie corners to kind of notoriously struggle to start out their careers. Not everybody does it, but a lot of times rookie corners, it takes them a little bit of time, kind of like rookie receivers. It takes them a little bit of time to get acclimated to the NFL level. I feel like the Colts and T.Y. Hilton can definitely expose him and expose this Jacksonville secondary. Give Phillip Rivers a lot of time. I really feel like they have the potential to do that. But number 3 for me, I mean, number 3 is kind of tough, but you know, I really think that number 3 for me is just making sure you're not letting whoever the running back is, I don't even know, James Robinson, I think, is the Jacksonville running back, stopping that run, making sure they don't beat you in that way. I don't think they will, but that's just going to be huge to not allow the passing attack any options, really make it a, you know, they're going to have to pass it to win this game type of thing or stay in this game. Really just don't let them run the ball at all, and I think the Colts are set up well to do that. And then number 2 for me, you have to get a pass rush. You have to get a pass rush on Gardner Minshew. Even last year, the Colts were not able to get much of a pass rush, especially in that second meeting. And look what happened. Gardner Minshew performed pretty well, all things considered. So the Colts, they need that to happen. They need to get pressure on Minshew because Minshew, you know, this Jacksonville offense, there's not a ton going for it, but Minshew is one of those lone bright spots right now. And if you give him time, if you don't get him consistently under pressure, he could carve up your defense. He's done it before. He can do it again. And so I think Buckner, Houston, Autry, Bandigu, all these defensive linemen, they have to get pressure on Minshew early. I mean, these offensive tackles for the Jaguars, they're young. Cam Robinson's been injured. Juwan Taylor, who they drafted last year, he had a pretty decent rookie season, but he's still pretty young, so you feel like you kind of have an advantage there. And then that interior, Brandon Linder, the center, he's pretty decent, but I feel like that interior can really get exposed by this Colts defensive line. DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, all these guys, even Tyquan Lewis. These guys can get consistent pressure in the interior. They're really going to make life hard for Minshew and company. And then for me, number one, undoubtedly has to be making sure you contain the big plays, especially against some of these Jacksonville receivers. DJ Chark in particular, he's a very good receiver, and the Colts are going to need to make sure that he does not beat them. He's had some good plays against the Colts the last couple of years. So making sure you contain DJ Chark, making sure you contain some of these other guys. D.D. Westbrook, Laviska Shenault is another name. He was drafted this year by the Jags. And also Tyler Eifert, the tight end they signed in free agency. And I think it'll help when you get pressure on the quarterback. But ultimately it comes down to just containing Chark, containing these receivers. Because we don't really feel like the Jaguars can run the ball on the Colts. But if there was a weakness on this Colts defense, it would definitely be their corners and their defensive backs. I really think that potentially could be the reason why Jacksonville maybe is competitive in this game, more competitive than we think. But if the Colts are able to get pressure and they're also able to just contain these wide receivers, I really think they have a pretty good chance to go out there and break that curse. Jacksonville is not very talented as a team, but we know within the division, sometimes those games are played a lot harder and a lot closer than they should be just because these teams know each other. They play each other twice a year. So those are my 5 keys to victory for the Indianapolis Colts. If they want to go down, they want to start off the season 1-0, they want to be ahead in the division, they got to do those 5 things. If they do those 5 things well, I think they're going to come out with a victory. But let me know, guys, if there's anything else you think the Colts need to do in order to have a good game and beat Jacksonville. And maybe on some of my points, you have another point that you want to bring up. Make sure to do that. But I appreciate it, guys. Thanks. And as always, go Colts.